Welcome into another edition of Inside Princeton Vikings Athletics here on VikeNation.org and ESP Media powered by Sidearm Sports. My name is Jason Griefer. Once again, joined by two coaches from the Princeton athletic staff here today. Andy Short heads up the girls lacrosse program, and Craig Black leading the softball charge on the season. Gentlemen, great to have you here with us, and appreciate some of your time and giving us some insights into your programs. Let me start we're going to kind of ping pong back and forth between the coaches here today. But let me start with this. Spring sports are always a very unique time, and because it feels like everything is so condensed into a very, very short window to try and get as many games in as we can. Craig, let me start with you, because it seems like, looking at the schedule with the way things happen, and of course Mother Nature being the way she's been this spring, we've had to kind of move games around and whatnot. It seems like there's just so many days where it feels like, oh my gosh, another game, with very few off days in between. What's that been like for you, trying to manage your program, knowing you've had so few days off thus far?
It's definitely a challenge. I kind of purposely, when I did my schedule at the beginning of the season, had some days during the week where we could keep for practice or for just a day off as needed. And now we've had to reschedule, I think, 4 league games, and those obviously take precedent. And if we both have the open day, we have to take that day. So now it looks like the next 2 weeks, we're going to be playing 6 days a week. And that's definitely a challenge, to get the girls up 6 days a week in a row. Girls are like, hey, where are we playing today? Same with the parents. And so there's just a lot of flexibility and understanding is needed for a spring sport like this. We're definitely at the will of Mother Nature. So
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, on your side of things, we're building up this program to where we want to get it to go going forward. So this year, not playing full-fledged in the GMC, still playing a few GMC schools in there, but what was the process like as far as putting the schedule together, given the fact that a lot of these games are taking place against teams that are not in your league, as you try to fill that out for the season?
Well, the way the lacrosse is scheduled over the years, I've been with it for probably about 12, 13 years now with other schools. But what we do amongst the coaches, we schedule our games. Coaches will call coaches, emailing, trying to schedule games. If we are part of a conference, that takes precedence. So usually the athletic directors will take care of the conference games, and then we fill in the blanks with teams from outside of the conference, within the Cincinnati area, Dayton area, even the Northern Kentucky area.
It's interesting how that all comes together, and especially for you, Andy, as you're trying to build this up here. How have you been balancing all the logistics of that schedule, and traveling here, going there against these schools that the kids may not be overly familiar with, while also trying to build this program eventually to where you may a plan for a couple of years down the road?
Well, what I did for the first few years is I just put the girls on a very easy JV type schedule, and I was looking for teams that were relatively new to go against them, so we'd be evenly matched. But this year I decided to take the girls one step further, and we're playing a little bit more varsity type games, just to give the girls an idea of what to expect, being that even though we got brand new girls that come every year, usually half my team has never picked up a stick until February. But the attitudes of the girls and their willingness to want to learn the game has been just phenomenal over the years, and it's amazing what I get at the end of each year. But schedule-wise, we just try to find teams that are within our ability group. But there's sometimes it goes outside of our ability group, and that's just fine, because I just tell the girls, you're going to be playing against kids that have been playing since they were 4, 5, 6 years old. And we're here in the Princeton district. Lacrosse is pretty much an unknown sport, which I'm trying to bring about to the community. And we'll talk more about that later. But pretty much about what we go through.
Craig, on your side of things, as you alluded to just a moment ago, you're really getting into the meat of your schedule now, with a lot of a 5 and 6 game weeks coming up here, starting with a Fairfield a little bit later on today on this Tuesday, assuming Mother Nature cooperates. And then you just really just go one after another. I'm looking at the schedule right now. The next scheduled off day is Sunday. So again, got to get a lot of games in a short amount of time. How do you go about keeping the team fresh and energized during this time when there are literally no days off? How do you prevent that burnout type of factor?
It's definitely a challenge. We, with practices, we try to keep practices fresh. Like last night, we were in the gym, and there's only so much you can do in the gym for softball reasons. You can hit grounders, but you can't do pop ups and things like that. So it's just that it's trying to sub as many girls as you can when you can into games, and I just really try to maintain a positive attitude. Like, hey, we're doing this really well. We're doing this really well. And the feedback we've got from other coaches, from fans, just, it's not like I'm going out there going, hey, what do you think of us? But a lot of people come up and just talk about how much better our program is getting, how much more competitive our girls are getting, the attitudes, the effort, all that stuff. So it's just been real positive. And I just think with our girls, you just have to really keep it positive. Again, it's hard because, we're playing 6 days in a row. So it's not like a football where you got to get up for Friday nights. Every night for softball is a Friday night almost. So every day you've got to get those emotions up, and then you come down, then you got to go back up and do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. And it's a challenge. But I just think it's, a tribute to my staff that we just really try to work hard on keeping the girls positive, seeing the positive things that we're doing. May not be reflected in the score, but we're doing things like committing less errors. We're making teams have to beat us versus us beating ourselves. And we really focus on the positive with the girls.
Andy, on your side of things, Craig mentioned something there that I thought was rather interesting. The support and the feedback that you're getting from outside the program, whether it be fans, teach faculty around the school, fellow students and whatnot. Are you seeing that as well with your program, especially since you're trying to build that up into a full-fledged GMC program?
Every now and then, yeah, I've got staff members will come and ask me, how's the team coming along? How many girls you got this year? And, I get that a little bit. Even I get parents that every now and then will contact me about the program. Even during season, the referees that we've had in the past, they say, compliment the kids on how well they've improved over the last few seasons. Even just their ability to play and how they play the game is we get a lot of compliments from that. But I get some inquiries throughout from staff members from day to day. So it seems very supportive, and even some of the parents, our staff members who are parents of lacrosse players that live in other districts, they ask me about how things are going. We've even played against some of their kids each season, but it's very positive, very positive.
Good, and that's the best thing you can have when you're trying to build things up, for
Right,
sure.
yeah.
So we're a handful of games into the season for both squads at this point. Andy, let me start with you. Where do you think at this point in the season, as I said, we're just a few games in, where have you seen the most improvement on the field from your team, from the preseason workouts to where we are right now in the middle stage of April?
I think the biggest thing I've noticed is the situational awareness on the field. Lacrosse is a totally different game that many kids have never experienced. And I even get some kids that have had no athletic experience whatsoever. But the situational awareness of where to be on the field, where the ball is, how to react, that's the biggest thing that biggest improvement I have seen this season amongst my girls. And I couldn't be more proud of them and say, there's nothing I can really say because they've really come so far.
Craig, on your side of things, is the point you alluded to a moment ago where your team is not beating themselves, is that where we're seeing the most improvement there, or is there another specific area that you've seen that maybe caught you a little bit by surprise at how quickly they've improved at?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, I think we're a lot stronger than we've been. We made some moves of people in different positions, and it's made a big improvement. But hitting the ball, I mean, every game we're putting the bat on the ball, and the GMC is the toughest league in the state of Ohio. I'd argue that with anybody. and we're making contact. And Draylon Brown, for example, has got a hit in every game that we've played. So for me, I think it's just, we're striking out less, but we're also committing way less errors. And now it's getting to the point where it's not like, oh, we get to go play Princeton, we can have a night off. It's, oh, Princeton's going to fight with us, and Princeton's going to, battle, and they're not going to beat themselves. We have to beat them versus them beating themselves.
Let's talk about the league a little bit more in that regard, Craig. Let me start with you. You just said it right there that the GMC is one of the tougher in the state as far as softball goes. How do the girls go about, embracing that challenge, knowing that every single night almost you've got a team on the other side of you that could potentially get to a regional final, if not further? How do you go about managing that throughout the season, knowing that not only are there no days off, but you're playing against seemingly any team that could go out and potentially make a run deep in the postseason?
Yeah, I think it's just, we worry about ourselves. We don't worry about our opponent. We look at the things that we do and the things that we accomplish, and we really focus on that. I mean, there's games we feel like we can win, and we go out and we do our best. There's games that we know are going to be a challenge, and again, we look at our best and see what we did. And sometimes it may be an improvement from the first time we played that opponent to the second time we played that opponent. But for us, it's just right now, it's really just worrying about us, worried about the things that we can control and the things that we can work on.
Andy, on your side of things, are you taking that kind of mentality as well, that we're just focusing on ourselves and focusing on improving? Or have you had a chance to maybe look a little bit into the future and kind of feel out what the GMC is going to be like and going down the road?
Oh, yeah. Well, I look at the girls now. We focus on our basic stick skills, and one of the things with lacrosse is it's not an easy sport to pick up right away. Catching and throwing the ball is one of the most difficult parts of the game. And I tell the girls, no, just keep practicing it. It comes to you, and it does. But looking on down the road, within the GMC, there's powerhouses there in lacrosse that have been there for years. I've gone against them when I've coached another school within the Cincinnati area, and I know how they play. My daughter played for one of the GMC coaches during the summer ball, and so I know that once this program really up and running, and that's going to be one of the challenges, is competing against the Sycamores, the Masons in this sport.
How do you guys go about balancing trying to get your kids and your girls as much work as they can while also making sure they're taking care of their academics? Obviously, we got to, that's a huge deal for any student, much less a student athlete, especially in a condensed time like this in the spring sports season. Andy, let me start with you with that. How do you go about trying to get your kids stick time and improvement as much as that goes, and the improvement, as you mentioned, the situational awareness, while also ensuring they're taking care of business in the classroom as well?
Well, one of the things I talk to the kids about before we even start the season, I say, and I think almost all coaches and even teachers will say this, you're a student athlete. Student comes first. I tell all my girls, you come to me if there's anything academic where you're lacking, please let me know right away. We will make accommodations for that, and even teammates will get together and help out. Since I'm lucky enough right now to have my plan period at the last period of the day, and the girls will come and join me during my plan time, and that's when they can work on any work or work with me or ask questions about the academics. But I stress the academics firsthand, and if a kid texts me, calls me and said, hey coach, I've got some work I've really got to get caught up on, I said, please go ahead and make sure you take care of that. But then again, don't forget about your skills. I still want you to progress in your skills, and they do work on their own, doing some of those skills that I asked them to do. So that's pretty much how I go about it.
Craig, how is it for you, knowing that you're right now, essentially the last few weeks here, last couple of weeks of April and into early May, you're going to see your kids basically on a daily basis, at different parks, playing games and whatnot. How do you go about that balance of trying to get them better on the field, but also making sure they're taking care of their academics in such a condensed schedule.
Yeah, as Coach Short said, I mean, they're student athletes, and the student definitely comes first with us as well. We've done some study tables after school where they can go and work with one of our coaches who's in the building, and she can bring in people or go making sure they're going to the classes they need to. I try to keep as much of a consistent practice schedule as I can, so they know like this day, this is where you're going to be, and have time to go ahead and do your classwork. And again, we say if you're struggling, let us know, and that means you have to miss practice, then so be it. We'll deal with the outside softball stuff when it comes. But again, if you're not eligible, if your grades aren't where they need to be, then it's not part of being the team. Again, we're trying to create young women and getting them to the best place they can be. There's not a professional softball league, so our kids are never going to be professional athletes, but we really want to help them focus on reaching their goals as adults and as young women.
Absolutely. So moving back onto the field, and as we're heading towards the latter end of April and going into May, let's talk a little bit about strategy and also kind of where we want to go from this point. Craig, let me start with you. As we head into this next couple of weeks where we're playing a lot of games and a lot of days, is there one or two areas that you or your staff have pinpointed to say, okay, this is an area that we need to really try and start to tighten up on and start to improve on over these last couple of weeks of the regular season?
Just some defensive strategy kind of things, making sure we're hitting the right cutoff man, being aware of the different base runners there. And as far as us, like offensively, making sure we're continuing to put the bat on the ball, being aggressive on the base paths when we can. And just starting to look, the good thing about this team is we're still very young. We have one senior, Andrew Allen Brown, who is, very, very good. But we're also going to be able to hopefully carry that into next year. So the things that we do this year, we're going to be able to carry into next year. So we're focused on this year, but maybe a little bit peeking out the side of the eye as far as what could next year look like as well.
Andy, you've got a lot of young players on your team as well. And some of them, as you've alluded to here today, are still learning the game, still growing there. Where do you want to see the most improvement or most growth from your team as we head towards the latter end of the season?
Well, I want to see improvement on both ends. My defense, luckily this year, I was able to pick up Brian Miller, who was a basketball coach, and he's taken on my defense. And hopefully he can concentrate with the defensive players, and I work with the attack players, which is the offense. And I really would like to see my attack players start being a little bit more, run more organized type plays, and working on the stick skills of the pass and the catch. Just like in basketball, when you throw the ball around the key, getting things set up, lacrosse is the same way, but on a bigger scale. So I'd like to see my girls start to be able to be a little bit more organized on the field and running plays. That's what I'd like to see the girls be doing.
So we still have time to get everything going in that direction. And as we're winding down here today, I want to leave with this and get your thoughts on this. When you feel like your team is playing at your best, and Andy, I'll start with you. How competitive and how good do you think they can be once everything clicks? If they have that game or they have that period where everything clicks, how good can this team be right now?
I think we could be very good. The attitudes that we have, I can't say enough for the girls. I think we can be competitive once we start getting a program established here. I think what I need really is a feeder type program. And one of the things I'm going to be working with over the summer is the elementary kids, and working with them to see what kind of interest we have there, and then send them to area clubs around outside of Princeton. And then hopefully we can get a youth program started here within the Princeton district, which will help feed the program that we've established at the high school. And I think we can be a very competitive team with the athleticism that I see that comes to me every year, even with no lacrosse skills whatsoever. They pick up the game very positively. And so that's where I think we can go with this.
Craig, how about you with your program? Obviously, in a difficult league with so many games in such a short time, when your team is playing at their best with their defensive strategies, as you mentioned, putting the bat on the ball, getting solid pitching, how good do you think this team can be in the GMC?
Oh, I think we can be competitive with just about, if not everybody in the GMC when we're on our game. As Coach Short said, we got to do the same kind of thing. We've got to get into the elementary schools, and that's the plan that we're going to be doing in the off season as well, and trying to get more girls playing year round, or at least more than just during the season. When you look at our opponents, a lot of them have kids that are playing summer ball and travel ball and all that, and we just have a few right now, but we're encouraging that as well.
Lacrosse,
yeah. And our junior high team, I'm very excited about them. Unfortunately, they've not had a game yet as well, just because of Mother Nature. But I think, the support from the administration, I'm sure Coach Short would say the same thing. They're really pushing us to do the right things to build it, and any way they can support us to build our programs. I mean, they want the best for Princeton. They want the best for their kids, as we do. So, it's a very exciting time. We definitely have some positive things trending in the right ways. We just got to continue to move forward with all that stuff.
Continuing to build it and do it the right way. And that's definitely what we're getting right now within the lacrosse and the softball programs. Andy Short, Craig Black, appreciate the time here today. Best of luck going forward, and we'll be keeping track of your progress.
Thank you so much. Can I plug?
Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
May 7th, we're having our second annual Vikings Classic softball tournament. So it's going to be a day-long thing. It's ourselves and St. Ursula, Winton Woods, and Batavia. I believe there'll be 6 games that day, a food truck. So hopefully some really good softball. It's obviously free to anybody that wants to come on out and support us. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to come watch any of our home games, the schedule's on the Viking Nation's website. Feel free to come watch the game, no charge, learn to see what we do.
Absolutely. An up and coming program on both sides of things. That is Andy Short, head coach of girls lacrosse, and Craig Black, head coach of the Viking softball program, joining us here today for a special edition of Inside Princeton Vikings Athletics here on VikingNation.org and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.